Is your last name Holm?
Yes, Holm.
I had forgotten to put it in my script, which I kind of know it now, but. Okay, we're 1 minute away. Probably less.
You're watching KATU News on Digital.
Good morning and happy May Day. Welcome to today's DigiCast. I'm Sarah Bagby. Today we're going to talk about protests. We're on day 7 of the local and national protests around the nation, most of them happening in universities. And we're going to talk about PSU first. PSU is actually still in a protest. They've taken over the library, and the officials are now looking at ways to clear the protesters. I have a little bit of video I can play for you so you can see that a little bit of what's going on. This is what the campus looks like right now if you were to step around the library and certain other parts of the campus as well. Now, pro-Palestinian protesters, they broke in the library on Monday night. Now the school, the mayor, the district attorney, and chief of police are all denouncing the protests and asking them to leave on their own. And protesters say that's not going to happen until their demands are met. Now, that is not the take from all of the students on the campus. We did get a few of them and interviewed a few to see what their take was at, and here were some of their replies.
We really are looking for our partners at the university to show up and say that this is unacceptable, that every student, Jewish student, non-Jewish student, every student has a right to feel safe on campus, but our students don't in this moment.
And that was just one take. Here's another.
We can't use the library anymore. You know, I'm a master's student, so I use the library all the time.
Their message has been any students are welcome in the library. What do you think about that?
I think there's probably a lot of people that won't feel safe to go in the library.
Now, this is just one take. This is from PSU, and of course, like I mentioned, this has been going on nationally around the country. Protests are just part of a national movement. So I have joining us Noelle Ford, who's been covering this actually all morning from a national angle, especially Columbia University.
Yeah.
Here, they had quite something last night. So what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Sarah, thank you so much for having me on, and thank you for covering, by the way. Columbia University, I feel like, is kind of at the forefront of all these protests. It's what we've been talking about probably the most out of any other school nationally. One of the biggest protests. So let's talk about what happened last night and the new information. New information we know this morning, Sarah, is that New York City police, they arrested 300 protesters, and that's between Columbia University and then protests at the City College of New York. Now, what I thought was very interesting, New York's Mayor Eric Adams gave an update this morning. He said that he believes not all of those protesters are affiliated with the university. He believes there's outside people coming to the university to protest. He says, Sarah, that the NYPD has intelligence of this. So let's hear what he said.
Those who broke into the building did include students. It was led by individuals who are not affiliated with the university. The school needed the NYPD's assistance to clear Hamilton Hall and the encampments outside. There were those who were never concerned about free speech. They were concerned about chaos. It was about external actors hijacking peaceful protests and influence students to escalate. There's nothing peaceful about barricading buildings, destroying property, or dismantling security cameras.
And then right here, these are the moments that the NYPD entered Hamilton Hall on Columbia University to get in there, get the protesters out of the building. Sarah, Columbia did not want to call the NYPD to come in. It actually was last minute. They got that call. It came at about 9 p.m. last night. They gave all this information. The update was pretty thorough, their update. But they're looking through all of the arrests. I told you there was about 280 something, and they're going to see, who's a student with the university, who's affiliated.
So it sounds like, for one, that we're lucky there weren't any injuries or anything, but this was sort of necessary because they were trying to avoid the police for chaos, But then I think you told me, because you actually are from New York and know about these things, that Columbia is really centered in the center of New York City. So it really has an effect on kind of the infrastructure or anyone else, even outside of the university, just getting through. It was causing issues, right?
Yeah, you think closing like a university, just a campus in New York City, though, like New York is your campus when you're going to school in the city. So I saw lines of students trying to get into their dorms. People were not able to get to their houses on certain streets. It's chaotic. I mean, New York is already chaotic with all the people there, and you just add in closures, university closures. But now the NYPD, they're going to be on Columbia University's campus till graduation.
Sure. Okay, and at least they will get to graduate. And this kind of brings me back to one of the topics you were saying was that they weren't sure if it was all students, which is something now we're going to be looking into at PSU. We have our reporters out there, and we'll be keeping you informed on whether or not a lot of the protesters are students or maybe outside affiliates.
Yeah, and I mean, the mayor said it, Sarah, but also the university said it too. I found a statement from them, and they said the group that broke in and occupied the building, they believe it is led by people outside the university.
Okay.
You know, this is something that we are all looking into. Like you mentioned, we're going to be talking about this on KATU today. We'll be covering the protests locally, seeing what's happening at PSU as well.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you were still working on an election story or something, so we'll let you go. But thank you again. It's nice to have you in this seat.
Yeah,
instead.
talk about those elections now. We're going to bring
we
in
will.
the expert on all of the elections
That's
here,
right.
Sammy.
Yeah, we
All
actually
right.
have Samantha home with us today. So Samantha, come and join us. This is so cool what we're doing here. This is a K2 thing. We are on your side. Sam, I'll tell you this, when it's vote time, you know, I'm pulling out the pamphlet last minute. I'm procrastinating. Or I'm looking up on all the sites about each one, trying to figure out, you know, research each candidate. I'm usually doing it last minute. I'm not very good at it. I mean, you think I know everything being at a news station, but no, I have to research, and we should. I love that this is happening. So tell us a little bit about what we're doing to help people so they can get all of their candidate information quickly and easily.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on today. So I've been very excited about this project. We've had over 50 candidates come into this very studio to sit down and do interviews with us and answer a set of questions. We've had 7 questions that they answer in 7 minutes. And in that time, they get to make a pitch for their campaign and to tell voters and viewers, you know, how they're planning to represent them and, you know, who they are as people. And I think that it's just a really, really good opportunity for people to get a snapshot of who is vying to represent them. So it's just been a super fun project, and I've been very, very grateful to be in on this process.
Yeah, it seems very helpful too, because then we can kind of they're kind of on the spot, if you will, without getting to plan too much. A few questions. One, do they know the questions ahead of time, and are they being asked the same questions?
So we did not let them know the questions ahead of time. I was sure to kind of go over a few talking points just to let them know that, hey, these are going to be very general questions, who you are, why you're running. But we did have a few questions thrown in there that were a bit more specific to the job, and that wasn't to try to trip anybody up, but they're important questions. So, you know, we covered congressional districts 1 through 6, Multnomah County districts 1 through 4, Metro districts 3 through 5, Secretary of State, State Treasurer, Attorney General. So those were a lot of people, and with each candidate, in each of these races, we asked the same set of questions. So each candidate was asked the same set of questions for the Attorney General race. But they were slightly different for the Secretary of State race, but we asked them the same set of questions.
Okay, so kind of tailored to each role, but sort of the same idea. And
Exactly.
then would you add more questions as answers came in, you know, along the way, or is it just kind of stay to this format?
We wanted to stay to the format just to ensure fairness. We didn't want anybody to feel as though they were being given some sort of advantage or a disadvantage. So we tried to be extremely fair and ask the same types of questions and add nothing more or take away anything from their experience. So that was really our goal with this, was to be very, very fair.
I think it's great you're doing this. I know I'll probably use it myself. I want to bring up the website here. Everyone can look at it. Here is a look. We have a red circle around it. And, you know, sometimes it can be hard going on the internet if you're not used to it, or each web page is different. So
Well, and our website's a little bit of a labyrinth, too.
we got a lot of information in there, a lot of helpful information. But once you click on that Know Your Candidates, it goes in there. And then it looks like you have an index in there to make it pretty easy. Is that right?
Yeah, we do. So as you can see surrounding that index right there, we have some of those interviews already posted, and it shows who that person is and what district they're running and then what position they're running for. And then we also have an index where it lists all of the races, and then it has little hyperlinks on each candidate's name that takes you to their individual page where you can watch their interview and read their written response once they've submitted it. We've been accepting those as we go along.
How cool is that? No, this is so great. I'm so glad you guys are doing this. Thank you so much for it. And thanks for joining us on our show today. I know this just launched this morning, say like 4 a.m.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see how many people we get on there, and we'll keep telling people about it.
Yeah, luckily I was still asleep at that point. So
At first I thought you were out there launching it. I wrote her an email that said, I'm so sorry you're awake right now, like me, but I'm glad you were fast asleep.
no, I was down for the count at that point.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again for being here. I hope to have you again some other time.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Sarah.
If you want, you can stick around. We have some fun stories to close out the show. You want to stay?
I would love to.
Okay,
well,
cool.
Of course.
We're talking about something fun right now. I don't know if you heard about this, but there are some zebras on the loose, actually. So it's yeah, we talked about it a couple of days ago, but it's still happening right now. So let me bring up a little video for you so you guys know that I am not making this up. This happened in North Bend, Washington, a couple of days ago, about Sunday. We had 4 zebras break out of a truck. All right, the zebra's owner says she was driving to Montana when she stopped to better secure the trailer, and that's when the animals got loose. Neighbors, police, and get this, you're gonna like this, Samantha, one rodeo clown helped to wrangle the 3 of them. The rodeo clown just happened to be passing by. No, not related in any way to this truck of zebras.
Some divine intervention.
Exactly. It's fantastic. So they're still missing. If you happen to find a zebra in your yard, please do contact King County Animal Control. They are continuing to search. They have patrols all over looking for the zebra, and I just love this story because I wish it would go to my house.
What would you do if a zebra arrived at your house?
It would probably be in a cage. Like, I have a really big dog pen, so we'd be very happy. But I'm wondering, though, like, how can a zebra just disappear?
They seem to stick out. I mean, even in that video, you see them, and it's so jarring because, you know, you're used to seeing them Lion King style where they're running across the Sahara Desert, and you're like,
Right?
wow,
Yeah.
majestic creatures. But seeing them here in our forest is
Yeah.
kind of a little jarring.
We're bringing Kenya to you. So, yeah. So if you find it in the yard, don't keep it. I think someone's keeping it. Anyway.
Somebody's just formed a beautiful relationship and friendship with the
Probably.
zebra.
They're bonding with it. I'm sure there'll be another update on this, and we'll let you know when that zebra is found because I want to know where it is as well.
Absolutely.
We also have one more fun story for you. Let me bring up this for you. I have a video of it. Sorry, I'm still learning how to use these buttons, but
Oh no, you're doing a great job.
you know, I'm learning. This is pretty cool.
Oh, it's so cute.
This is called the Seaheck Kingfisher, and it arrived at the zoo earlier this year. This is one of the most rare birds in the world. There's only 110 left in the world.
110.
Yep, most of them live in zoos.
They're here in Oregon?
They are. We have 3 of them. We have 3 of them
Wow.
now. They just joined us at the zoo. They're in the aviary. And if you go into the aviary and you want to see them, you know, there's several birds in there. So the ones you need to look for are blue-winged, and they have cinnamon-colored chests. So definitely worth going to check that out, I think. I mean, I was thinking of going maybe even this afternoon because today may be the only dry day to go to the zoo.
Really?
Yeah,
really?
it's one of those weeks. I'm going to take down this little thing we have up here. Sorry about that. I'm still learning it.
Oh, it's all good.
There we go.
It's all good.
Nope, we're putting it back up. We're going to go into, so what I was trying to get to was this, the weather.
Yes.
And I do have good news in here for you.
Yes.
We
Looks
are
like
under low pressure, which is why you're seeing so many clouds, but notice that we're finally warming things up. It has been cold, like below average cold for the past 7 days because of the rain. Now
Yeah.
we get a break today. Sun
Thank
breaks.
goodness.
Yeah, we don't get rainbows if we don't have rain though. So today we're going to be a little warmer, 60 degrees, sun breaks and clouds. Same thing tomorrow, but warmer. And then we're going to have those showers join us again for Friday. So we kind of have a rainy weekend to look forward to. I'm sorry about that, but otherwise,
So maybe no
at
bird
least we're
watching over
warm.
the weekend.
Yeah, today's the day to do it. Get
Today's
out
the
there.
day. Get
Mhm.
out there.
Yeah, and then you don't have to water your garden over the weekend, so that's kind of cool too.
Perfect. It's
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
And then there might be a zebra in your garden. So
That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping I go home and the zebra found my house.
me too.
Well, thanks again, Samantha, for being here. And
Of course.
thank you all for joining us for today's K2's Digicast. I also want to remind you that we're going to keep you updated on all the latest stories, including the protests and whether or not these protests are actually students at PSU or they're from the outside. We'll be covering that along with a lot more. Just join us at 4 p.m. and we'll see you again tomorrow at 11 in the morning. Take care and have a good day.
This has been a K2 News Digicast. K2 News is on your side.